Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling unusually tired? Your body heavier than it should be, your face a little more swollen than yesterday, and you told yourself it's probably just age. But what if I told you that what you're feeling isn't aging at all? It could be your kidneys quietly struggling to survive. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and this is something most people never see coming. Your kidneys don't scream when they're in trouble. They don't cause sharp pain. They fail silently, minute by minute, while you're eating foods you believe are healthy. Every wrong protein choice forces your kidneys to filter excess waste, raising creatinine, damaging nephrons, and pushing you closer to chronic kidney disease, often without a single warning sign. And here's the frightening part: by the time fatigue, swelling, or high blood pressure appear, the damage has already been happening for years. That's why so many people hear the words, "your kidney function is declining," and have no idea how they got there. But this is not a video about fear, it's about control. Because the truth is, certain proteins can dramatically reduce the strain on your kidneys, stabilize creatinine levels, and slow down kidney decline. While others, even the ones people love the most, can quietly destroy kidney function faster than you ever imagined. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you which proteins protect and restore your kidneys, and which familiar foods are silently doing the opposite. Stay with me until the end, because one of the most common proteins on your table may be the very thing preventing your kidneys from healing, and once you see it, you'll never look at your meals the same way again. Tofu might look simple, even boring to some people, but for your kidneys, it can be a quiet turning point. I've met many patients over 50 who told me the same thing: "Doctor, I thought tofu was just for vegetarians. I didn't think it mattered." And yet, after months of struggling with rising creatinine fatigue and swelling, tofu became one of the first foods that actually eased the pressure on their kidneys. Here's why. Tofu is rich in isoflavones, natural compounds that work as powerful anti-inflammatory agents. Inside your kidneys, chronic low-grade inflammation slowly damages nephrons, the tiny filters responsible for cleaning your blood. Isoflavones help calm that inflammation, protect the renal tubules, and reduce the constant stress caused by overfiltration. When that stress drops, creatinine levels become more stable and kidney function declines more slowly. A clinical observation published through nephrology research groups showed that patients with early-stage kidney disease who replaced part of their animal protein with about 100 to 150 grams of tofu several times per week experienced significantly less creatinine fluctuation compared to those who continued eating mostly meat-based proteins. Many also reported improved energy and less heaviness in the body within weeks. But tofu only helps when it's eaten the right way. Choose soft organic tofu, soak it briefly in water to reduce processing residues, and cook it gently. Steaming or light boiling works best. Avoid frying or heavy sauces because excess oil and sodium can cancel out its benefits. Think of tofu not as a main attraction, but as a way to give your kidneys a break. And yet, while tofu protects kidney tissue itself, it doesn't work alone. Because there's another protein that supports your kidneys in a completely different way by improving blood flow to them. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. If tofu works quietly at the kidney level, lentils step in from a completely different angle. They protect your kidneys by protecting the blood vessels that feed them. And this is where many people get it wrong. They focus only on protein but forget that kidneys live or die by blood flow. I remember a patient in his late 50s who told me my numbers weren't terrible, but my doctor said my kidney function kept slipping. His diet was heavy in meat, light on plant foods, and almost nothing that supported circulation. When lentils were added just a few times a week, something interesting happened. His lab results stabilized, and his blood pressure became easier to control. Lentils are rich in folate and arginine, two nutrients that directly reduce homocysteine, a compound that silently damages blood vessels. High homocysteine narrows the tiny arteries leading into your kidneys, forcing nephrons to work harder under reduced oxygen supply. Over time, that stress accelerates kidney decline. By lowering homocysteine, lentils help restore smoother blood flow, reduce filtration pressure, and give kidney tissue a chance to recover. Long-term observational data following older adults showed that those who regularly consumed about 100 grams of lentils per day had lower homocysteine levels and more stable eGFR readings compared to those who rarely ate legumes. This isn't about drastic dieting, it's about consistency. To get the full benefit, preparation matters. Soak lentils before cooking to improve digestion, cook them gently and keep seasoning light. Pair them with leafy greens or a small amount of olive oil to support absorption without adding sodium. But even when blood flow improves, your kidneys still need something else, a protein so clean and easy to filter that it barely leaves a trace behind. But knowing this alone isn't enough because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. After improving blood flow with lentils, your kidneys still face another daily battle filtering protein itself. And this is where many people unknowingly make a critical mistake. They avoid eggs out of fear of cholesterol without realizing that the part their kidneys actually need isn't the yolk at all, it's the egg white. I've seen this happen countless times. A woman in her early 60s once told me I stopped eating eggs because I thought they were bad for me. Her creatinine slowly crept up and she felt constantly drained. When egg whites were reintroduced carefully and correctly, her lab numbers stabilized and her energy began to return. Egg whites provide high-quality pure protein with almost no sodium, no cholesterol, and minimal metabolic waste. The key compound here is albumin. Albumin helps maintain proper fluid balance in the blood and reduces proteinuria, a condition where protein leaks into the urine and forces the kidneys to work overtime. When protein loss is controlled, nephrons experience less stress and long-term damage slows down. Large population studies following adults over 50 have shown that diets including moderate amounts of egg whites are associated with more stable kidney function and less swelling compared to diets heavy in red meat or processed protein. The difference isn't dramatic overnight, but over months it becomes meaningful. Preparation matters. Steam or lightly cook egg whites instead of frying them. Avoid salt-processed sauces or oils that add unnecessary burden. For most older adults, 2 to 3 egg whites per meal a few times per week provide support without overload. Think of egg whites as protein that passes through your kidneys quietly without leaving behind toxic residue. But even the cleanest protein won't protect your kidneys if the portion is wrong or if it's paired with the wrong cooking habits. Because there's another protein people trust every day, and when handled incorrectly, it can quietly undo all your progress. But knowing this alone isn't enough because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. After egg whites showed us how powerful clean protein can be, the next question becomes unavoidable. What about the protein most people eat for dinner every week? This is where lean chicken enters the picture and where things can go very right or very wrong. I often hear people say chicken is healthy, so I eat as much as I want. But the truth is chicken doesn't protect your kidneys by default. How you prepare it and how much you eat determines whether it becomes a healer or a hidden threat. I once worked with a man in his late 50s who switched from red meat to chicken, yet his creatinine kept rising. The problem wasn't the chicken, it was the portions and the salty marinades. Lean chicken breast is easier to digest than red meat and produces less nitrogen waste, which means less work for your kidneys. It also contains L-carnitine, a compound that helps your body process protein more efficiently and reduces toxic byproducts in the blood. When protein metabolism becomes smoother, nephron stress drops, and that matters more as we age. Clinical observations following patients with early kidney decline found that those who replaced red meat with about 120 to 150 grams of lean chicken 3 times per week maintained more stable eGFR levels over time. But there was a catch: benefits only appeared when chicken was boiled, steamed, or lightly baked, not fried, grilled with heavy seasoning, or soaked in sodium-rich sauces. Think of lean chicken as structured support. It gives your body strength without overwhelming your kidneys, but only when discipline is involved. Smaller portions, simple cooking, minimal salt. That's the difference between nourishment and damage. And now comes the moment most people aren't ready for. Because right after this point, we need to talk about proteins that look harmless, taste comforting, and yet can undo everything you've done so far. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. After talking about lean chicken, this is usually where people feel relieved. They think, good, I've switched to healthier protein. I'm safe now. But this is exactly where many kidneys start to fail, not because of what people eat for dinner, but because of what they eat out of habit. Bacon, smoked meat, cured sausages. They feel small, just a few slices, just a quick breakfast. I once had a patient in his early 60s who told me it's only bacon on weekends. His creatinine didn't spike overnight. It climbed slowly, quietly, year after year until one day his doctor couldn't ignore it anymore. The danger isn't just the protein, it's the combination of extreme sodium nitrates and nitrites. These compounds force your kidneys to filter excess salt while simultaneously dealing with oxidative stress. That pressure damages nephrons at the microscopic level long before symptoms appear. Over time, filtration becomes inefficient, inflammation builds, and kidney decline accelerates. Large population data analyzed by kidney health organizations show that people who consume processed or smoked meats multiple times per week have a significantly higher risk of chronic kidney disease compared to those who limit or avoid them. And here's the most alarming part: even small portions, when repeated regularly, are enough to overload aging kidneys. If giving up bacon completely feels impossible, there are harm reduction steps: reducing frequency, avoiding daily intake, and pairing it with high-fiber foods. But make no mistake, this is not a protein your kidneys can tolerate long-term. It's a slow burn, not a sudden explosion, and many people think, fine, I'll skip bacon and switch to cheese instead. But that next choice might be even more deceptive because it looks innocent, feels comforting, and yet quietly drives creatinine higher. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. After hearing about bacon, many people breathe a small sigh of relief and say, all right, I'll avoid processed meat. I'll just eat cheese instead. And that decision feels safe, familiar, even comforting. But this is where kidney damage often takes a quieter, more deceptive path. I remember a woman in her late 50s who told me she barely ate meat anymore. She felt proud of that change. But every morning, every afternoon, there was cheese slices, cubes, snacks between meals. Her creatinine kept rising, and she couldn't understand why. The problem wasn't obvious. It never is with hard cheese. Hard cheeses are packed with sodium and concentrated animal protein. When you eat them regularly, your kidneys are forced to filter large amounts of salt while breaking down dense protein at the same time. That double workload raises filtration pressure inside the nephrons, slowly wearing them down. Over months and years, eGFR declines not suddenly, but steadily. Nutrition studies following older adults have shown that frequent consumption of hard, salty cheeses associated with higher creatinine levels and faster kidney function decline, especially in people over 50 or those with early kidney stress. And because cheese doesn't feel heavy, portions quietly grow larger than the kidneys can handle. This doesn't mean cheese must disappear forever. The key is type and portion. Fresh, low-sodium cheeses in very small amounts, eaten occasionally, and combined with fiber-rich foods, create far less strain. But hard cheese as a daily habit is something aging kidneys simply cannot tolerate. What makes this especially dangerous is how innocent it feels. There's no warning sign, no immediate discomfort, just a slow shift in your lab numbers until one day the doctor says your kidney function has dropped again. And if you think cheese is the last hidden danger, there's still one more protein left, a convenient favorite that damages kidneys faster than most people ever realize. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor that's even more dangerous. If there is one protein that has damaged more kidneys than people realize, it's not steak and it's not even bacon. It's canned sausages, the food people choose when they're busy, tired, or simply don't want to cook. I once spoke with a man in his early 60s who said, I don't eat much meat anymore. Just sausages, sometimes they're easy. His creatinine had been creeping up for years. No pain, no warning, just slow, steady decline. And this is exactly how canned sausages work. They don't attack all at once. They erode kidney function quietly. The danger lies in the combination. Canned sausages contain low-quality processed protein, extremely high sodium, and chemical preservatives, such as phosphates and nitrites. That combination forces your kidneys to do three jobs at once: filter excess salt, break down poor-quality protein, and neutralize toxic additives. For aging kidneys, that workload is devastating. Studies in renal nutrition have shown that people who eat processed sausages several times per week have a significantly higher risk of chronic kidney disease, along with faster drops in eGFR. Phosphates in particular accelerate vascular and kidney tissue damage, making filtration less efficient over time. And because sausages are soft and easy to eat, Portion control almost disappears. The most dangerous part is how normal this feels. A quick breakfast, a fast lunch, a light dinner. But inside your body, your kidneys are fighting a losing battle against constant overload. If you truly can't eliminate sausages immediately, the first step is frequency. Once a week instead of several times. Boiling briefly before cooking to reduce sodium. Pairing with fiber-rich foods. These steps may reduce harm, but they do not make sausages safe. Because when kidneys reach a certain point, no medication can fully undo the damage. And that brings us to the most important question of all, the one that decides whether kidneys decline slowly or whether dialysis enters the picture. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's one final truth that may determine whether your kidneys can still be saved. Before you leave, I want you to remember one important thing. If you're watching this video right now, it means you care about your health, about your future, and about staying independent as you get older. And that already puts you one step ahead of most people. Kidney damage doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't reverse overnight either. But every small informed choice you make today can slow the process, protect what you still have, and give your kidneys the support they desperately need. If this information helped you understand your body better, please save this video. There may come a day when you need to watch it again or share it with someone you love who is struggling silently with kidney problems. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I regularly share the latest medical knowledge, practical nutrition tips, and doctor-backed strategies to help you protect your kidneys and overall health, especially after the age of 50. Most importantly, don't lose hope. Many people believe kidney decline is inevitable, but that's not always true. With the right foods, the right habits, and the right information, you can slow damage, stabilize creatinine, and give your kidneys a chance to work more comfortably for years to come. Take care of yourself, stay curious, and remember, protecting your kidneys is protecting your life.